mask mandate got lifted.
Yes.
Also, we're outside.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So this is, who is this again?
This is Leo. He's, you know,
He's beautiful.
It's been a while since he's seen people as well. Yeah.
So I'm glad to be with you here at Fort Baptist Farm. Where are you going to take us?
So, yeah, we have about 5 acres fenced in away from the deer. So, come on down.
Okay. You want to go ahead of us? Well, you can't walk that. You do this every day? Your husband does this every day?
He does a lot of heavy lifting for the farm. What animals do? So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pigs. We had a litter of pigs this year. We had over 100 chickens, but they're predators, they're coyotes, they're foxes, and so we have a couple of them in the chicken tractor back there. You can hear some of them crowing.
I can hear it. And do you get eggs?
We get eggs. We've been supplying the Ithaca Farmers Market with eggs, and local folks who subscribe to our CSA, which is a community shared agriculture project that we have here at Fort Baptist Farm, where people in the community buy into the farm and they get vegetables and fresh produce, poultry, eggs, meat,
And
all good, all organic.
You have a mission here of, I saw on your website, people over profits.
Yeah, that is part of the concept of food sovereignty, where folks take charge over their food. We essentially make the choices in terms of what we plant, what we distribute, and what we consume. And that is on a scale that is personal to us, culturally appropriate to us, and as well as we take ownership. That's essentially what food sovereignty means. Take ownership over the food that we produce, and it's not on the scale of big ag, and the markets don't determine what we produce.
That's so important here in upstate New York. We see so many farmers starting to decide that they can't farm anymore because they can't compete with the big ag monopolies that are moving in across the country. And you're trying to create a sustainable scale that is able to compete in that.
That is able to compete, and that is able to give people choices and autonomy over the food that we consume. So our food has no pesticides, no fungicides, no insecticides. It's all organic and sustainable practices. So these are practices that have been carried on since forever. We have started the practice of no-till.
No-till. So what she's saying is if you fertilize your bed,
We place organic material down, and we plant directly into that organic material. So
and that keeps the weeds back.
and we're not disturbing the soil, we're not interrupting the natural flow of the land, or the natural processes.
You know, a lot of I know that's not true. I know that farmers work all around the year because you've got planting to do, you've got all kinds of stuff to do. All year round, we've been building this greenhouse.
Compliments.
This one here.
From here, compliments of my husband and a lot of other family members. We've been putting in sweat equity during the winter months. Here's some of the no-till beds that I've been talking about. Way in the back there, we have a couple of beehives, and some bees have been eating. We have our two main greenhouses where we grow eggplant, hot peppers, sweet peppers, and way over in the corner you can see a couple of our pigs hanging out and some of the chickens in that red chicken tractor.
How do they cope with the cold, the chickens and the pigs?
They're all huddled up.
They're snuggled.
Yeah, they like to snuggle. Sometimes they'll go into use inside that little building, but they do like to snuggle, and sometimes it's kind of dangerous because we do have coyotes here in upstate New York.
And somebody's got to come down here and make sure that they're fed and they're taken care of.
Yes,
and the farming still goes on all year round.
We're toting water because right now obviously there's a lot of snow and ice, and we do have a well and it does carry water down. However, that's frozen, so there's a lot of toting of water for irrigation purposes and feeding the animals. Yep.
So tell me some more about the history of your farm. And when did you start this farm?
So in 2017, we started out as a small, and I do mean small. We have like probably about 5 beds in this area and a couple of chickens. And just this area alone produced so much. We ended up giving shopping bags full of produce to friends and family, and then we decided, hey, it might be a little bit more lucrative or even a little bit more interesting or engaging to have the family occupied in producing more food and having the community over to engage in farming practices, because we're right here in the Finger Lakes and we're pretty much close to downtown Ithaca. We are standing on land that was part of the Cayuga Nation. 6 Mile Creek runs through and is formerly known as Tegastawias, which is the Native American name. So we always try to bring back some of those ancestral practices in honoring the land in terms of sustainable practices, getting more and more black farmers and persons of color interested in the land, more and more women interested in the land. And so some of those were the determinations that we had when we were starting out with Fort Baptist Farm.
And so you started with just a couple of
beds
right here,
yeah.
and then it just kind of keeps expanding, and now you're building this greenhouse.
And now we're building the greenhouse. Those two high tunnels that we have back here, if you guys want to come and check them out, were
Snow?
yeah.
So, okay, let me just get the timing straight. Okay, so you started the farm in 2017, and then it was 3 years of work before you decided you could give up your other job.
Correct.
And mean, a lot of farmers have other jobs. Farming is not a real lucrative business sometimes, especially in the beginning. You got to get going.
It is not. I recently checked out some of the statistics on black farmers in America, and the bottom line isn't looking so hopeful. They're making on average about $40,000 per year in comparison to their white counterparts who make about $190,000 per year.
Wow.
Based on land ownership, based on access to loans, based on rentals, access to markets. Some of those are issues that black farmers in America face, and we are also in the 1% of like all farmers in the US. So yeah.
So it is hard to break in. It took you 3 years. You're a black farmer. The odds are already stacked against us. And then 3 years in 2020, you stopped your other job. You decided to become a farmer full time. How many employees do you have here?
So we have one wonderful volunteer, shout out Linda, and 2 or 3 younger folks who come during the summer, which is when our season begins, and they are employed to us here at the farm. We also do a lot of work with Ithaca Youth Bureau, and they send us young folks as well. And so Tompkins County pays those younger kids to come and work on the farm.
And so you got a USDA grant for this,
Yep.
and then you have Tompkins County helping pay the younger people, but then you pay your employees.
We do pay our employees. Also, we do get a lot of our CSA subscriptions from Healthy Food for All, which is a Cornell cooperative program, shout out to HFFA, for all of the work that they actually put into the farm and all of the subscribers that they bring to the farm as well. So some of those initiatives are the ways in which we try to balance out our own entry into markets or our own ways in which we can make our farming lucrative.
You want to show us the hoop house? I don't know how much more.
Come on in. So it's a lot of organic material that's left behind. We basically taken up.
Oh, it's much warmer.
Yeah.
You can feel it's just.
There's a big difference.
You just walk right in here and it's warmer.
It's warmer.
It's amazing.
We've taken up all of our old tomatoes, and this is going to be organic material that turns into compost.
Okay.
And we basically lay the beds down, and the irrigation systems on top of the beds, and we plant directly into the bed. So this is all organic material and organic soil.
And this is left over from
the last year.
last year. Yeah.
Yep. So we just lay the beds down and we start going. These support beams are just to ensure that we don't have a collapse.
You learned your lesson the hard way.
We learned the hard way.
Snow.
Yeah.
But I mean, there isn't a heater or anything in here. This is just the radiant from the organic material.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Complete difference from 9 degrees outside.
I know, it's 90 degrees out there. I'll bet it's 20, 25 in here maybe?
Probably.
So what do you dream for your farm, Dee? What do you envision?
I envision passing it down to successive generations. We have our older kids who are interested in farming, younger kids running around, interested in playing. They're interested in the foods that they consume, becoming vegetarian or vegan, and the practices that that entails, and just making sure to keep the land within the family and passing that on to successive generations. The land never lies. It gives you back what you put into it, and so that to us is important, maintaining it for generations to come.
It teaches a real loss of control. We don't have control over as much as we might think we do. The land, I like the way you said that. The land teaches you.
Yep, it does. It does.
Yeah. And so you are one more black farmer now, as of 5 years ago.
Yep.
And are you finding that there's more opportunity or less opportunity? Are we making what can we do better?
What can we do better? I think we can employ more persons of color. I think any kind of racist or segregation is kinds of policies that originated from post-slavery into what we might consider a post I can't even say it's post-racial society, because
I'm not sure we're there
no,
yet.
I don't think we're there yet.
I don't think we're there yet.
But you know,
but it maybe could be a future.
It could be a future kind of endeavor, and practices that separated persons of color from access to land and access to finances and access to markets. We can re-examine those. We can employ more persons of color. We can give or write bills and grants and policies that support women and that support folks who are willing to give farming and jobs a try.
Well, and that is the history of the United States, right? Was built on the labor of black people who were brought here to farm as enslaved people.
Yep.
And so that is a history that we can reflect on.
That's a history that we can reflect on, and that is a history that is worth examining in terms of reparations during this time for all the blood and sweat equity of that time. I'm mentioning that in Black History Month because we are examining a lot of those issues right here at the farm and within our own community.
Well, and it's something you're doing year-round, not just during Black History Month.
That's
obviously.
true. That's
It's kind of like farming happens year-round too.
It does. It does.
Well, thank you, Dee. It's
Yeah.
wonderful of you to. Any last thoughts you want to share with the community? And
Happy
make
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. You've got your red on.
Yeah.
And check out Fort Baptist Farm. What's your website?
We are at fortbaptist.com, fortbaptistfarm.com.
And you can sign up for a CSA.
Yes, you can.
If you're in the Ithaca area, you can get your wonderful vegetables through Dee Baptist and Fort Baptist Farm.
Yep, all are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.